you've reached Kenan Salazar's personal cell phone number. If you're calling about CNN, you got the wrong number. Please don't call me again. If you're anybody else, please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Hi there, this is Harrison Giza, a.k.a. Harvey Pizza, with CPPR Live. That's Connecticut Public Radio _live, not to be considered to be affiliated with CNN at all. But if there's any chance Kenan is available once again, this is Harrison Giza, a.k.a. Harvey Pizza, a.k.a. Call Me Deacon Blues, with Connecticut Public Radio Live. That's, again, at CPPR _LIVE. And yeah, man, call me back if you're around. Excited to make this happen. All right. Bye. Today, for Connecticut Public Radio, we are here, live, in the flesh, with somebody that has a PhD in professional brain rot. A musician with so much artistic integrity that sometimes when I see him on the TikTok, I have somewhat of a schizophrenic tendency to think he's Weird Al Yankovic of the East Coast. A man that, no matter what instrument he's playing, it's played damn well. Someone soulful. Someone with that philosophical strut of the genius perfect pitch. You know him. You love him, and if you don't, you're about to know him. And damn well you're about to love him. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call him Kenan Salazar. Kenan, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm all right. Thanks so much, Harrison, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you here and get to talk to you about the stupid stuff that I do.
Well, dude, anytime. And that stupid stuff, you know, you look at Robert Crumb, you look at William Burroughs, you look at fucking Morrissey and the Smiths. Stupid stuff can be anything until just a few months of TikTok scrolling later, it becomes iconic. It becomes iconoclastic. It becomes something that CNN harasses you about because they just need to interview you, man.
Still waiting on that call.
Yeah, dude, give it time. Honestly, in this next year, I bet even bigger, way bigger names than mine are going to reach out. But, dude, every interview I've ever done, I always start it with one question. I always end it with one question. And most importantly, before we go into the deep dive of, I believe, 12 questions I got lined up for you, how are you doing today, Kenan?
Just hanging in there, you know. Life is tough, but we get through it.
So out of 10, what would you give this day that you've had?
7, which is good.
Hell yeah. As I take a sip of water from my Godfather mug, let's get right into it.
Stay hydrated.
Oh, dude, you gotta. I hear Steely Dan and almost everything that you do, and to me, they're like the literate man's Grateful Dead. They're both incredibly soulful in their own ways with die-hard fan bases of their own particular psychedelic and sexual variety. But what do you admire about Steely Dan, and do you have a favorite Dan album, Kenan?
Yes. Well, let's get the album squared away. My favorite is Royal Scam. You know, I think it's just great songs top to bottom. Bernard Purdie on almost all the tracks. Larry Carlton on almost all the tracks. I mean, like, it's great just top to bottom. Killing players, killing songs. My favorite song is on there, Caves of Altamira. Yeah, you know, I think that album, it sort of is a little bit of a microcosm of, like, what I love about Steely Dan and, like, what I think, you know, connects me to their music so much is that record sort of marks that transition period between, you know, just a bunch of rockers who, you know, are in the session, the higher bunch of session guys, a bunch of rockers who have a jazz edge about them to, like, really leaning into that jazz kind of side. And you know, that is sort of like reflective, I would say, of my own journey as a musician, where, like, I started out as a straight ahead rock guy, got into metal, but then found, you know, jazz. I started learning jazz, like getting into, you know, as a guitar player, like I started getting Wes Montgomery and then Joe Fenton, and then, like, you know, just deep diving into jazz culture, your Miles, your Coltrane, your Herbie Hancock, you know, and everything there. Went to jazz school after that, and then, that combination, that fusion of rock, of the heavy stuff, and mixing that with the jazz, the pop sensibilities that, you see in Steely Dan, like, that's really what brought me to that, is like the fact that, like, I saw kind of my own taste in that. So when I first heard, Steely Dan, I think the first album I ever listened to was Asia. That was like so clear to me, and I got it. It took me a minute to kind of appreciate it after a while, and then I started like hearing all the subtleties, hearing all the, just things that make the Dan, and then just like, and also, not too long before I started getting into Steely Dan, I was already really into Toto. And the whole LA studio scene stuff was already something that I was very aware of. So coming into Steely Dan, I was like, oh shoot, that's Joe Sample on the keys, that's Chuck Rainey on the bass, that's Bernard Purdy, that's Jeff Porcaro, all the Porcaro folks, like, super big inspirations. So seeing the Toto guys, especially like Katie Lyde, like David Page is on there, and Porcaro. That it all just kind of connected the dots for me. So just that combination of everything that I was already super into at the time when I first heard Steely Dan, I was like, man, this is life changing.
Dude, damn, the amount of depth in that answer. I'm really excited for the next dozen questions. Thank you. Holy shit. Course. Dude, that was the opposite of a royal scam. Out of curiosity, how old were you when you first heard Asia in full?
Yeah, so I think I can remember exactly what I might have been doing at the time. I was on a plane to NAM in 2018, so I was 17 at the time. I'm 23 now. I believe that's correct. So still quite fresh, but, the moment that I, started hearing that first note of Black Cow, I was like, there's something here. I remember on the plane ride, I downloaded on Spotify, because on Spotify you can like just sort of save things offline. I didn't want to pay for the plane Wi-Fi. It was only going to be like a 5-hour flight from Philly to LA. I mean, I wasn't going to just sit there and into space, but I wanted to entertain myself somehow, so I just got a couple of the albums. I think I got Asia, I think I got Katie Lyde, but I think I only ever really listened on that ride to Asia in full, and man, that changed my life.
Damn, dude, I can see you at 17 telling everybody that you're a genius, and they just have no idea what you mean. I totally see that on the plane. Dude, again, thank you for that anecdote. So, got to hit you with one I actually fucking wrote down. What was the first instrument that you learned to play, and ultimately, what drew you to a career focused in playing music? I do know you started guitar at just 9 years of age.
Yes. So actually, before I started playing the guitar, I picked up the violin at school. Actually, picked up is probably not the right word for it. I don't exactly remember when I started playing the violin. It was odd, because from where I stand right now, it's almost as if like the public school that I was attending sort of just dropped the violin in my lap and said play. Whether that's true or not, I have no way of knowing. My parents don't even know either. But I one day brought a violin home and started playing violin. But before then, I had played like a couple chords on the guitar, but I wasn't playing. So violin, I really do consider like my first sort of instrument that I actually like was putting in time into, putting some kind of practice and doing on a regular basis. And this was like 8 years old. So just a year before I started playing guitar. And that kind of led into me. I think my parents kind of saw a little bit of like a spark there, at least once I switched over from violin to guitar. I started playing the guitar more. And, you know, my parents I don't necessarily come from a musical family in that like everybody played instruments, because as far as I know, my dad only just played like guitar. Like he was a grunge guy. He came out. He was a young adult in the 90s, you know, and so he had his like one of his favorite bands was Nirvana, right? And so he was a grunge guy. He kind of learned guitar, played guitar in the way that genre sort of called for, but like open chords, you know, power chords, and nothing flashy, nothing fancy, nothing jazzy either. But I think they appreciated a lot of music a lot, because like of course my dad, I mentioned Nirvana. My parents were just listening to a lot of music in the house, all sorts of music, you know. And when when they saw me start to do the music thing, they kind of were a lot more open to it than, you know, some other parents might be, and they really kind of wanted to support me in that. So they helped me kind of maintain like a practice routine, and showed me. My dad would sometimes like go online and find like guitar players, because like at the time, like I wasn't really seeking out that much music. My dad would go online and be like, "Hey, have you checked out this guitarist? Have you heard of Joe Satriani? Have you heard of Steve Vai?" You know, and he would put me on. And he never really listened to that kind of music, but he wanted to kind of make, you know, a way where he could expose me to some stuff that, you know, might be helpful in sort of my musical journey. So I really owe a lot, I would say, to my parents for just kind of supporting me, and sort of seeing that sort of initial spark and saying, "Oh, I think this kid's got something," you know. I think that this could be, this could be something big, because he learns fast, he learns quick, and he seems to love it, you know, that sort of thing. So, yeah, you know, from then on, 9 years old, practicing after my dad taught me a couple things, just going on YouTube, you know, learning from whoever was posting online at the time. I think some of the guitar lesson videos I was watching is this guy, Justin Guitar. I don't know if you know him, but he's this Australian guy. He was one of the OGs of YouTube guitar lessons. And so that guy I was watching a lot. Marty.
With the fedora, right?
Yes. That guy is another guy I was watching a lot. And I was a kid, but this was like the ripe time, like, for online musical education. It was a golden age, I would say. So I was right time, right place. I just soaked it all in. You know, I guess fast forward to today.
Dude, hell yeah. Soaking in that French dip of an answer and some nice savory au jus nostalgia. Again, dude, thank you for the depth. And it makes sense now, because in the single digits, if I have a kid and they're playing violin, there's no doubt in my mind it's all about prepping them to learn how to play Roddy Ricch covers. So I got to ask you this. I just lost my... Dude, yeah, it's the natural progression of things. That's what Martin Luther King wanted, you know? Yeah. So, okay. So, I just lost my dog, but it's Yacht Rock, parenthesis, Roddy Ricch, Rich Forever, covered by Earth Kenan. Sadly, this was the first time I had heard of you, and it was only a month ago, which I apologize for profusely. However, a few minutes after we talked on TikTok, my friend Jared legitimately sent me another video of yours. So, wow. Dude, it was freaky, and he's like big into yacht rock, 2 kids, a wife, getting his whole life together. You're the right kind of artist for him to listen to. So I guess what I want to ask, and thank God I wrote it down because I can't stop smiling like a goon. How does it feel to not only make people laugh at your craft, but enjoy the groovy sincerity and parody tunes that you crank out like Dr. Seuss did short stories?
I mean, let me tell you, it feels like great because, you know, one of the things that, you know, part of the whole impetus for why I even started doing the brainrot stuff and then why I started doing the yacht rock covers and all that is, the thing is like that has always pushed me to do anything creatively ever since I was a kid. Not, and this isn't just in music. Like at the time I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm very commonly online, so I was, exposed to a lot of like YouTubers, and I wanted to do stuff like that. I wanted to edit. I wanted to maybe become a YouTuber, become a Twitch streamer. Like every Gen Z kid, dream job you ask, like, what do you want to do when you're growing up? I want to be a YouTuber at the time. Now people say I want to be an influencer, but I think that's we've strayed too far from the light of God at that point. I've always wanted to use the medium of visual and audio combination and make people sort of laugh and entertain them in that way. I was like, I don't know if you remember, like this must have been like 2013, like MLG montage parodies where you'd see like Doritos and Illuminati and marijuana leaves and it would be 360 no scope MLG. Like I was 13 years old, but I was making those kinds of videos, and that was like something that actually really made me want to learn how to do that stuff. Is because I just thought it'd be really funny if I could make somebody laugh with this, and that's why I want to make anything, is to make somebody laugh, to make somebody smile. And even in the music that I make that isn't necessarily humorous, the whole reason that it exists is because I want to make somebody's day. I want to entertain them, whether it's because it's brain rot or if it's just fun music. Really, at the end of the day, my drive is to just bring. This sounds a little, hippy dippy flower power, but bring joy, bring happiness, bring positivity. I kind of like have an acid reflux when I say that out loud, but that's really, that the sort of spirit of it is I just want to brighten somebody's day, with anything that I make, because this world sucks, and because of that, I don't think I need to ruminate on why it sucks. I think I need to make sure that I tell my fellow man, hey, here's my hand, shake it. It's going to be all right. You got this. Here's something to brighten up your day a little bit.
Dude, hell yeah. Again, I relate, and I also appreciate that answer, because when I was younger and I could make up for being 5'7", even though Al Pacino's 5'7", fighting through insecurities, it was comedy and writing for me that was always there. And long before drug usage, it was picking up the sixth string and attempting to play High and Dry by Radiohead before later on I would smoke that High and Dry from Springfield, Massachusetts. So, dude, hell yeah, I get exactly what you're talking about. And for this next segment, we've had a few different guests on that share that same sentiment of loving to make their friends laugh, loving to make their family, their fans now, giggle through their music, and also wear their heart on their sleeve through their music and when they do these beautiful anti-CNN interviews. So, Kenan, I gotta ask you a question and see if your pretzel logic is sound. Mr. Salazar, like Mr. Matthew Allen before you of the band Star 80, or the man himself, Tom Green 2.0, Buffalo native heartthrob Matthew Danger Littman, would you like to play a game of kill, marry, or fuck?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, it's an enthusiastic 7 out of 10 answer on the 7 out of 10 day. Here we go. Kenan, kill, marry, fuck, a pegging session with Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, a night of Colombian blow and long stroke blowjobs with both Michael and Ronald McDonald, or a tender and sweet love session on a multi-million-dollar yacht with Hall and Oates.
In order of the things that you just said.
Oh shit! Okay. Oh, he's going in. Okay. Wow.
Okay, I gotta. It was an instant. I'm sorry. I kind of logged in all my answers too early. Let me just rearrange a couple things. First one. First one.
Take your time.
Okay, here's my order. To avoid profanity, as part of my, shall we say, family-friendly branding, I shall say initials for any swear words that I'll say. So, in order, F, kill, and marry.
Okay. So, F, kill, marry. I'm bad at math, and now initials. So, he's gonna F the members of Steely Dan. Kill. Then, you're gonna get rid of the billion dollar corporation, Mr. Ronald McDonald and Michael McDonald.
Exactly.
And you're gonna marry Hall & Oates? You're marrying Hall & Oates.
They're, what can I say? They make my dreams come true.
Oh, he did it, folks. Oh, man, this guy is a man-eater. Beautiful answer. Dude, my bad.
On my list.
Hey, dude. Okay, I didn't know. Oh, man, I should have asked you about corporate-approved branding with the swearing. My bad, because I've been cursing. Man.
No, all good. And listen, no, I'm just trying to preserve my sort of branding here. But no, I'm all down for a little shenanigans, if you will.
All right, then getting tangential with the shenanigans. But yeah, dude, I sometimes go on CIA operative honeypot websites that are Mongolian basket weaving forums. Yeah, dude, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're picking up what I've written down?
Yeah, I don't like that we have to speak in code in this day and age, but yeah, dude, I get what you're saying, yes. No, yeah, dude, we'll do the wholesome, the collab post will be something that's, what's your favorite TikToker? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving from that immediately, but handled with such precision, maybe we'll return to it, Moot. But okay, in your own words, define for our viewers what yacht rock is and why you think, besides from your stellar input on TikTok, the genre is having such a Chinese application resurgence.
Well, yacht rock, and now I don't want to presuppose any kind of authority I may have on this. I leave that up to J.D. Riznar at Alia and anybody else who's responsible for the web series named yacht rock. But yacht rock is, I want to say, a subgenre of soft rock / AOR. AOR stands for adult-oriented rock. And this would have been like a radio format that existed. And it still in some ways exists today, like more like Michael Bolton, that kind of vibe. But at the time, it's a type of soft rock / AOR that released roughly between the years 1976 and 1984 or 85-ish. That's sort of the window of what can be considered, true yacht rock, and that's defined sort of by like this bouncy rhythm, very soul influence, specifically blue-eyed soul influence, a lot of disco influence, a lot of funk influence, and it usually has a lot of like sort of elite musicians playing on their records. I mentioned before the Porcaros, right? Jeff Porcaro, Mike Porcaro, Steve Porcaro, right? David Page, Steve Lukather, I said Bernard Purdy earlier. Basically, all the Toto guys, people who played on Michael Jackson's Thriller, people who played on Boz Scaggs records. I mean, those guys are top cream of the crop at the time. They're highly in demand and basically shaped how those records sounded within that time frame that I mentioned, 1976 just to around like 1985, 1984. And, they all have that sort of like breezy, smooth kind of quality, right? So that's that yacht rock sort of definition. Did you have another aspect to that question that the second half I might have forgotten it?
Bro, honestly, with the amount of depth that you just gave me, The thing I was asking you was just, why do you think the genre is having such a resurgence on TikTok?
Yeah.
But, the depth that you just throw like Satchel Paige, no, man, I think you kind of gave the depth there, especially with all the kick-ass studio musicians that deserve much more high down than low down, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep, absolutely. And, that's, I have a sort of background as a session player. That was like something I wanted to do while I was up in Boston for jazz school, and I did a bunch of session stuff. So I have like, a huge appreciation for these guys. And it's, I nerd out a lot about just like credits on one records, but it's just kind of insane. It's like some Marvel Cinematic Universe type, we've like people just interlinked, and you're like, this universe and this character was in this other thing. Some folks are comic book nerds. I'm a bit of a liner notes nerd. I'm in my yacht rock era.
Brilliant. Kenan Salazar Music House has dozens upon dozens of fun tutorials that help your followers learn how to write things like an anime theme song, or how to replicate insert famous indie band's guitar tone.
Yeah.
Is there a tutorial, Kenan, you have yet to put out there that you would want to help showcase for your fans? And who would you say, and I got to reformat this question even though I wrote, who has been the greatest musical teacher in your own life? Who was the Paul Gilbert to your Buckethead, bruh?
I guess to combine the sort of both facets of that, of that question, like I would want to sort of show folks like, so this guy, right? I mentioned him before, Guthrie Govan. Yep. I think he is the greatest guitar player of all time, and that's no exaggeration, because he is fast, but he isn't always fast. He's fast. He's good. He can kill it, and that he can pull out all these fast lines. And not only are they just fast, linear, like shred lines, no, they're jazzy, bebop, like inspired lines. Like they actually have a language and vocabulary that is pulling out like jazz language, country, bluegrass language in his actual like soloing. I want to show folks like, hey, this guy has been a huge influence on me. Let me show you and let me break down for you what about him is so great, what about him that I've been inspired by, and how can you kind of take some of his techniques and apply it to your own thing. The guy is a living legend. He can play literally any genre because he's studied it all. And it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but like he is the epitome of like the amazing sort of like shredder that is restraining himself, that is holding it back in service of the music. And if I've learned nothing from his playing, and if I've only learned one thing from his playing, it's you be excellent, don't show off, but be excellent and know that you are excellent, and know that there is a time and place for you to show your excellence. And that is what makes that moment of excellence so much stronger, is if you don't spend the entire track shredding up and down, top to bottom, notes, salads, left and right, like random nonsense. You save it for the perfect moment. And it's that idea that is, which is that building of tension and releasing it with that explosive show of virtuosity at the right time, that is sort of like, you can see that, I think you can see that in stuff that I do, where I'm not necessarily doing so much of the shredding stuff on my yacht rock stuff, but you cannot escape this feeling that this music is playing something that's very simple, but it is hinting towards something more, but we're not going there. But that the vibe of the song is being created by somebody who could be doing more with it, who could be pushing it, but is restraining because it serves the music better that way. and I guess to wrap this point up in a big bow, Guthrie Govan is the guy that I would want to tell folks, hey, he is the reason that I am the way I am. He is the reason that I do music the way that I do. He is the reason that I think about music the way that I do. And he is the reason that I approach everything with that same sense of being excellent, but also restraining that.
Dude, hell yeah. Again, the depth, impressive. And shout out to Guthrie, because it seems like the tutorial video that you would want to do is this Muhammad Ali mid-60s after he leaves the Cassius Clay moniker. You kind of want to do to me, this is what I'm hearing, like a how to be great, but, limit your Goku-esque power level in a way. Yeah. Like there's something cool about that. I admire that a lot, and I agree with you. And I'm not you. But great answer, man. That was, again, really cleaning house with these fucking effing questions. KFM questions. So as we segue into it, maybe that was a subconscious slip, but for the collab posts, for what I'll tag you in online, Kenan, who are some of your favorite TikTokers, and is there anyone you want to collaborate with that you haven't yet? Shout them out, old boy.
Okay, my favorite. Okay, here's a couple. I don't know if they're like famous or anything. Well, I'll say one of them who is famous, AJ and Big Justice, the Costco guys. I would love to do something with them. Something musical. I would love to do something with them. But that is a bit of a pipe dream because, they're kind of killing on it right now. They went on Jimmy Fallon. I think it was Jimmy Fallon, but they went on Jimmy Fallon. There's no way I'm collabing with them. But something that. Some other guys who might be a little bit more reachable, let's say, Big Boy Hums. I don't know if you're familiar, but he is, this guy out of London who his whole thing is like he hums cover versions. He sings cover versions of songs, but they're like a cappella and really soft and dreamy. And
dude, yeah. Reverb. Every comment is like, Kanye's going to sample this. Get this to Kanye immediately. Yeah, dude, that guy rules. Okay.
I love that guy. I'd love to do something with him. Another guy, Andy Arthur Smith. He is an amazing singer. You might have seen so he's had a couple viral hits, but one of them that I think is probably the most famous that everyone knows. He's the guy that sings that one viral meme audio. He sings Bach's cello suite prelude in G. He said, but he says it like this. He says, "Laden doo 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 doo, laden doo 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 doo."
Okay.
That guy, and he's super, just amazing at singing. Like he has such raw control over his own voice. And it is an instrument, but because I was gonna say as if it were an instrument, but it is an instrument, and he's a virtuoso at his instrument. I would say I'd love to do something with him because he's super. Also, he's got a little bit of that progressive metal background as well, and that's something I'm sure I could talk to him about. But he did also this one video of like the other premise. The premise is like when you're at dinner or lunch with your friend and you hear your song come on the radio, and he sings note for note, bar for bar, "Do It Again," the Steely Dan "Do It Again" sitar solo perfectly. He sings it down
Jesus.
From memory, and it's funny because this is true. As a Steely Dan fan, when you hear the "Do It Again" sitar solo on the Kmart radio or whatever, or Target radio, you gotta drop all your bags and start singing along loudly in public and be a public nuisance because it's the Dan, bro. It's Steely Dan. You can't. What are you supposed to do? Not like tune it out? You have to listen, and that is what I love about that video, and that's why I want to collaborate with this guy, Andy Arthur Smith. He's a genius.
You go back, Kenan, work with Andy Arthur Smith. We'll turn him round and round. You go back, Kenan, gonna collab with Arthur Smith. I forgot his middle name.
In those what is that? Is that a G minor?
It was a capo on the 3rd fret. Yeah, it was a G minor, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not as skilled as you, but I had to go over, grab that guitar, and yeah, man, I could see you on Fallon. I don't know if you'd ever do that, but I genuinely could see that happen, big time.
I play in the house band, but not being in that chair, not because I don't think I could ever get there, but man, late night. That just sold my chance to ever be on any late night television.
What? Come on, dude. You'll be there. Wait till they give Conan his new thing again. You'll be on something soon.
True. I love Conan. That's about the only late night
that
I actually enjoy.
Yeah. Speaking of BG Cumby, my YouTube homie and my secret lover, we talk about comedy and all these certain things, and going off of 4chain.com, as he would call it, late night talk show hosts certainly are a big discussion. And now I'm really curious, because if we're talking about the white man's burden, it's definitely the effing late night talk show hosts. My God. Dude, what's up? Why is everything so bad, in your opinion, with late night comedy? What happened?
Catering to the lowest common denominator, which creates this feedback loop of people just having a poor media diet. And because they have a poor media diet, their taste has been irreparably damaged by the fact that they had a poor media diet and only want to consume things for lowest common denominator audiences. And it's this feedback loop of like garbage in, garbage out, and then but because garbage came in, they only want to eat more garbage. So they just consume more garbage and excrete more garbage. And the big media companies look at their reports and feedback and surveys and public tests and public opinion, whatever, and they say, "Oh, people like slop. Let's keep giving them slop. Because clearly people love slop." People love slop because that's all you're giving them.
Dude, as Jimmy Fallon would say, that answer was so great, so great. Oh my God, so great. I don't have a Coke problem and say it's alcohol. So great, John Mulaney, so great.
He's like slamming it. He's like, ah! He's like banging the desk.
Big justice, ladies and gentlemen, ripping fat lines of Coke. All right, dude. Again, thank you. Even going tangential, and we're getting to the last 4 questions because,
awesome,
bro. I'm taking up a lot of your time. We're at half. Good. All right, we're at half the runtime of a Lord of the Rings film right now. But sorry, what were you saying?
I'm yapping out here. I'm just like running my mouth and just like hopping from one thing to another. So part of that is on me.
Well, dude, if it's on you, then blame it on me. Whatever that song is called. I don't even. What's the name of that? The Blame It On Me. Who is that?
I'm not hip.
Yeah, right?
That's
it's slop.
Unfamiliar to me.
It's slop, even though I did have Taco Bell for the first time recently, and the slop was pretty good, if not pricey. Yeah, dude.
They got that new Decades menu out.
Dude, the chalupa. The 80s or 90s chalupa.
Or whatever it is they have.
Have you tried it now? I mean, dovetailing off of that.
The other day I got the Decades, whatever they call it on the app. They call it the Crave box or whatever. The Decades Craving box. I just got it just to see what the fuss was about. But it's Taco Bell. It's the same 6 ingredients, just recycled and repackaged in different form factors, and say, hey, you like the slop? Well, what if we made this slop and put a little bow on it and put it in and added Doritos or whatever? You like Doritos, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't love a sweet chili taco at this time of night? This 7 out of 10 day with some 7 out of 10 fast food, dude.
Yeah.
Damn, all right.
Very generous rating.
Bro, I try. I like this Richter O'Brien dynamic we have where you're both Conan 2 times over and I'm maybe Max Weinberg, but okay. Dude, you have had terrific success with making brain rot into something that even George Maggot Brain Clinton might get down with. When you write these parodies, how much effort do you actually put into these gems of YouTube poop-centric bliss? The Warren Zevon one is my favorite so far.
Wow. Well, that's okay. So the fact that is your favorite is going to sort of inform my answer of how long it takes. That one, because I didn't realize that Halloween was coming up, so I think it was the night before. I think the 30th. I whipped up my notes app and just started typing it out because it was a Patreon request. So I have a couple of patrons, and they were like, "Oh, for Halloween you should do this," and it totally slipped my mind as Halloween approached. I was like, "Oh shoot, Halloween is tomorrow. Let me see if I can do Werewolves of London really quickly." And I think all in all, it took me this is even generous too. I think it was like 10 minutes to just write everything down.
Okay.
And that's, funny enough, that's way less time than I do normally spend on an actual longer one. Like I think Caves of Altamira, the Steely Dan one, that took me I think that one took me a little over 30 minutes. But that's when it only takes me about, if I want to get clever with some of the wordplay and allude to pop culture things. I did one of Bad Sneakers, the Steely Dan tune. I did a brainrot parody of that, and that took me a while because I was trying to craft it so that I would be alluding to, at the time, there was this ongoing sort of drama feud between Sneeko and Moist Critical, due to Sneeko's claim that, or Sneeko's views about the age of consent, which is, I don't know what to say about that, honestly.
No, dude, I get it. If we can't curse, we can talk about Sneeko's age of consent. I get that.
Yeah.
I understand.
No, but yeah, so that took me a little bit longer to figure out because I wanted to kind of draw a thread throughout at least most of the thing. So really all it takes, if I'm just deciding just throw slop on onto the table and see what sticks. And honestly, I wouldn't call it slop. It's more stream of consciousness, really, is what it is. That is kind of how I did that Warren Zevon one. Is that I just did it in stream of consciousness. So if I decide to do a complete stream of consciousness with my trusty spreadsheet of all my words sorted by rhyme and syllable, I'll take about 10 minutes on that. But if I wanted to kind of, play around with it, especially if it's a longer tune, some of mine can get up to as long as 90 seconds, though those ones take 30 to 45, so.
Damn, dude. Well, in the world where Dr. Seuss is remembered by his second wife for writing the Lorax on a back of a restaurant envelope in 46 seconds while they're traveling somewhere, and in a world where Bob Dylan shat blown in the wind out in I think half an hour, as he says, that's very comforting to know that you can take a Warren Zevon classic and flip it on its ear, big old Big Justice style, bringing the boom, because, yeah, man, that parody fucking ruled, dude. The thing I wanted to ask is, I love his song Excitable Boy, and, I would give you, money is tight, but I would give you Alexander Hamilton to an Andrew Jackson if you would work on an Excitable Boy parody with me. Is that possible, maybe?
Yeah, if we want to make it an official sort of collaboration, we could definitely do something like that.
Dude, hell yeah. And I'll write stuff too with lyrics, but you can shit on me as Harvey Pizza, the Excitable Boy. Yeah, man, that was right before this. I was taking notes, you know what? Why not ask him? And after hearing that, dude, yeah, I'll buy you Taco Bell or whatever. It ties into the sloppa questions. Okay.
Yes, delicious slop. I love it.
Bro, hell yeah. Going from delicious slop to the E-A-B7 chord progression of my favorite Warren Zevon song. Of all the live performances you have seen, be they in person, Kenan, or online, or on old-ass dusty DVDs of Nirvana live at Reading that your father gave to you, what are some of your go-to favorite live performances? Example: Santana's Soul Sacrifice at Woodstock for me, and/or Bob Dylan's 1965 Tambourine Man at the Newport Folk Festival, where he just decides, fuck it, one of the verses, I'm not going to sing it. I'm too high. I don't like these people.
Well, this is a tough one because, as much as I am a music guy, I'm not really that into like live shows or, I've definitely seen my fair share of concerts. But, sort of, my favorite musical moments usually happen, I guess, when I'm at home and I've got my headphones on and I find this eureka moment of like, oh, that's what this song is talking about. Like, I love this song. But if I did have to pick out of like some of my favorite sort of performances that I have, seen, or at least if I've seen a video of it, I wish I was there. I had done a brainrot parody of Yes's Roundabout, and this one live video of Yes performing in their 1991 lineup. This is around the time where they had a record called Union, which is critically panned. It was awful. And everybody hated it, even the bands themselves. But what was interesting about this lineup was like, it's called Union because it combined basically some of the classic lineup with their current lineup. So it was an 8-member configuration of Yes. Now, just that pure novelty of that alone, watching the videos that people have taken of it, it might not have sounded very good in those videos because it's not like, an official desk mix, but just the vibe, the energy, 2 drummers, Alan White and Bill Bruford. Bill Bruford's got that those Simmons drum pads with this, because he at the time, this is post 80s Crimson, where he's super into like the electronic drums and all that, and then Alan White, with his more straight ahead chops, just laying it down. Seeing that dynamic is super interesting to me. Same thing with like Trevor Rabin, who's like the shredder guy, like cut from the same cloth as like Van Halen, playing his own sort of like Frankenstrat or whatever.
Yeah.
Contrasted that against Steve Howe, who's like this British, like super, like much more reserved, much more elegant style that's very sort of jazz influenced, very Chet Atkins influenced. That contrast, just being on stage, you would think that it would create this chaos, but no, what I think that was special about that was just like, the fact that it was so different, and they were playing these classic tunes that everybody wanted to hear, both from their new lineup versus their old lineup, and that version of like when they play like Starship Trooper or something that's like a super classic tune, it's just has such an energy about it that like I know the video isn't capturing it as what it might have been in the room, and yet I still feel like, wow, this is a show that truly was once in a lifetime, and I would have never ever gotten the chance to see this because it was way before I was born even. But if I had a time machine and I could pick any one show just to witness, I think it would be a show off of that tour, because, just the online videos, I'm a nerd. As I mentioned before, like I'm super into like lineups and like the sort of crossovers that happen there. So seeing this sort of Avengers Endgame level kind of reunion was something that really tickled me in a way that resonated with me.
Well, love comes to you and you follow Lose One onto the Heart of the Sunrise. Kenan,
yes.
Mr. Salazar, delivering an absolutely delicious answer, one that Robert Kreisgau would probably give a bomb rating, but my mentor Vincent Gallo would give an A+, and possibly the middle finger for a fuck yeah. Dude, again, another heater, and with only 2 questions left, my palms are sweaty, my knees are weak, my arms are heavy, and I can't believe I watched the MTV Music Video Award performance of Eminem doing his best I'm Old Steve Miller impression. But it was good compared to some of the slappa that they choppa up for us this Christmas. Wicked. Again, dude, thank you. That was a great answer. And now this next part, I have a feeling could be good for the YouTube, for the Instagram, for online TikTok-y stuff. Because, It's jokingly political, but here we go. God help us all. Moot Christopher Poole help us all. Here we go.
Yes, 4chan.
Whoa, I've never been on it. Shut the F up, my B. Okay.
How do you know Christopher Poole? How do you know his username was Moot?
Dude, I don't have Milo Yiannopoulos' phone number. I don't know who Vincent Gallo is. I'm telling you.
Richard B. Spencer. I don't know who that guy is.
No. That okay. Get out of here. That's too far. I can do Shock Kaufman theatrics. I can't do that guy. No way. No. Oh, bro, with all the Fuente. Okay, no. See, we got to rebrand for this next question. Okay. Dude, hell yeah, bro. Okay, this guy fucking rules. All right. But not fuck Spencer, but okay.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I have heard many a young LGBT QAnon plus woman describe Chappell Roan as our generation's David Bowie. And while I vehemently disagree with this, despite liking a handful of her Pink Pony tracks, how do you feel about her work, considering you did a absolutely scrumptious parody of one of her songs, which, oh my god, it was so damn delightful. I thought Gene Wilder returned from the grave holding Gilda Radner. What is it like, in your opinion, to see her have this Voice of a Generation label, and would you agree?
Yeah, I would say I agree that she definitely is a voice for Gen Z, owing to the fact that she does belong to this generation. If I may be totally transparent, I really do not know much about Chappell Roan, honestly. Her music exists in a space that I don't necessarily interact with, very much, if at all. I recognize that she is doing something important, for a lot of people. But outside of that, I mean, I'll be honest, I've not actually listened to any other Chappell Roan songs besides the one I covered. The only reason I covered it is because I had heard it on, I think somebody I know was playing it in either a car or I heard it on the radio, and I just had that thought of, what if I turned this into yacht rock? That besides that, I really don't have much sort of context, I guess, for Chappell Roan. I mean, of course, I see, the news. I see, what Rolling Stone writes about her. I see what Billboard writes about her. I see, the sort of journalism that happens, around her. But besides that, I don't really have, much of a, I guess, take on Chappell Roan. The only thing that I could possibly say is that she's an artist just like me. And, whatever her intent for her art is, if she says this is the way that it's meant to be consumed, this is the way that, I have, this is the vision that I have. I think if you are someone who wants to be a fan of hers, you follow that. But if you, don't really care, then, good on you. That's also your prerogative. Basically a very, I guess, ambivalent view. I would say. Just due to pure ignorance. It's not a world that I'm very privy to. It's not a world that I'm, I would actively see myself trying to participate in. But, nonetheless, she's a musician. She makes art like me. So, as far as I'm concerned, she's one of us.
Absolutely ambivalent, but also true, because maybe I am just goalposting David Bowie, and maybe all the young dudes from Mott the Hopple is the same as Pink Pony Club to some woman with a really, really big nose piercing. And you're probably right, man, because you haven't been wrong for the past fucking effing hour we've been talking. And
try not to be.
Yeah, dude. I saw her do a new song on SNL that really was very country and quite impressive. And I do like the Pink Pony song, but yeah, just there's I'm waiting for her hunky dory. I'm waiting for the chili pepper and snorting coke era while Iggy Pop's like, bro, you gotta stop now. You help me out. Like, let's reel it in here.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
You know, dude, once we get you on Fallon with Big Justice, I think you're right. And now, you know, talking about big double chunk chocolate cookies. Every single interview I've ever done, dating back to my first big piece alongside my best friend Jared Crane, yacht rock enthusiast, to tie it into you, Kenan. I interviewed Asher Roth, smoking blunts by the pool, where I asked him this question, and his response was, hey, man, that's like a really great question, yeah. And then proceeded to tell me about his love for avocado toast for like 3 minutes while the cool kids were in the background making sandwiches. Now, it's all true, and it's crazy to say that at 30 because I'm so effing old. Kenan, describe in as much detail as possible, which I know you can do thoroughly to a T as you take a piece from Mr. Parker's breakfast. Please describe in as much detail as possible your ideal, perfect breakfast. If you're going to have bacon, will it be turkey? Will it be fake gas station $6.99 bacon? If you're having coffee, would you go to Starbucks? Would you make it black in the morning? Is a pretty lady to the left of you making the coffee and you grab the booty and then she serves you pancakes? Please tell us as much detail as you can as we slide on down.
Yes. So my ideal breakfast is going to be a Filipino-style breakfast. So for context, I am, of Filipino descent. I was born there, actually. So strong connection to my heritage and my culture. But, the way that breakfast is done in the Philippines is a little, I was going to say it's a little different. It is a little different in that it resembles like any other meal, really. It resembles a lunch, it resembles a dinner, maybe as big. You have a little bit of rice, you have a little bit of your meat, and a vegetable or whatever. It looks like a meal that you'd have at any other time of day. But I will say it does bear quite a similarity to at least the largeness and extravagance to an American-style breakfast, where it's actually quite indulgent, where, in an American-style breakfast, you have pancakes drenched in syrup and butter, eggs, your meat of choice. I'm a Philly boy, so I love myself some scrapple, right? Chopped liver and offal and what have you. But, in sort of a Filipino breakfast, a rice, you use leftover rice, you make a sort of a garlic fried rice out of it. So you have fried rice for breakfast. Then you have a fried egg, even if you want a fried egg, maybe 2 fried eggs. And part of the culture is sort of like in your breakfast, your typical breakfast, your garlic rice and your eggs go unchanged. Like those remain, part of every breakfast. But what does change is your protein, and that could be anything from a delicious Filipino breakfast sausage to spam to bacon to even an American style breakfast sausage, right? And for me, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll either have a spam, because I love spam. I will say a spam, garlic rice, and 2 eggs maybe. But if I had to, this is going to be a very niche thing, and I'm sure nobody is going to know at all what I'm referring to. Maybe somebody who's actually in the Philippines might understand this, but the Filipino fast food chain Jollibee, they have a breakfast menu, and on that breakfast menu, they have a specific type of sausage called the longanisa, right? And that, it is a sausage that exists in other forms outside of the fast food. It's an actual sausage. But they have a sort of more commercialized version of it. Sort of, I guess, the difference that you might see in an Italian sausage versus a hot dog, right? It's sort of that analog where the Italian sausage is more traditional sausage, that longanisa that I was saying, but at Jollibee, and that's a chain. So they have these like delicious, like hot dog textured type sausages. You can't get them anywhere else. I have no idea where to get them, but it's the only place that sells them. And they don't even sell breakfast here in their locations in the U.S. So if I'm going to have to get my ideal breakfast, which would be that longanisa at Jollibee with some garlic rice, with some eggs, I'd have to travel 2,000 miles across the Pacific just to have my ideal breakfast. But I think it is worth it for me. It is worth it.
Beautiful. And then just to drink, because I'd love to ask how, if you've ever had the spaghetti at Jollibee's, how is it? But what are you having to drink with this breakfast? Because as a Portuguese, I've been drooling for 40 seconds, and I would like to know.
Coffee. I'm a coffee guy. I'm not very picky about my coffee either, I will say. As long as it tastes relatively decent, I will drink it. I love my coffee. That's what I'm having with it. Like, blonde as ever. Like, more milk than it is coffee.
Yeah, okay.
4 to 6 packets of sugar or whatever. I'll try to be conservative about it at least, but yeah, coffee.
Trying to be conservative on the day Marco Rubio is appointed to the Trump administration. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenan Salazar delivers such depth that even though we're 10 minutes short of the runtime of Simon Pegg's Shaun of the Dead, I would just like to say I've had just as much fun as at least the second time I saw that film in 4th grade. This guy, it's not even just his TikTok humor getting through and the Christopher Pooleisms. We can talk about Fagin. We can talk about old jazz heads, and he probably knows who Bill Lee's son is if he did the right thing. Let me tell you, Mr. Salazar, I'm so thankful that you gave such a thorough answer about your breakfast. I'm honored that, good God, it's been an hour and 16 minutes, and I do have to edit some of these bits for CIA operatives. But, bro, thank you, because I genuinely, man, I'm bummed that this is over. But, yeah, dude, just thank you so much for this opportunity, and I wish you all the best, because you answered everything very, very, very well.
Absolutely. I love just talking somebody's ear off about whatever I feel like talking about. So it's been an honor, honestly, to and I do very much appreciate that you would, ask me to sit down and talk about some random whatever you want, So thank you for this opportunity as well.
Dude, anytime.